Right, so I'm sorry this wasn't done a little bit sooner. I've had a pretty crazy week. But anyway, I at the end of one of my videos, probably a week ago now, I asked if anyone had any questions that I could answer on here. I also asked on Instagram. Obviously, I've got a few more followers on Instagram, so I've got some cool questions there. Got a few from here as well, so I'm going to go through those now. Quite conveniently, a lot of them were based around kind of similar topics, so I'm going to kind of go into those in a bit more detail and then finish off with just a few short ones at the end. Cool, so I got kind of four questions. I'm going to keep looking down here because my laptop's there with them on, which were quite similar. Basically asking what the kind of the future held for me. Now, I've done quite well in NABBA. Am I going to move on to the IFBB? And kind of the goals that I have in bodybuilding. So, in brief, my main focus and always has and always will be just to get better and be a better bodybuilder each day, each week, each month, each year. Having that short-term approach, it keeps me very stress-free. I don't kind of overwhelm myself with some big ambition that it is daunting or off-putting. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you want to go from an average bodybuilder is the best bodybuilder in the world, or if you just want to step on stage, you still need to live every day as a bodybuilder and do the basics right. So that's always my focus. The IFBB questions was one that I've had a lot lately. And if I'm perfectly honest, it's not something that's on my immediate radar. I absolutely love competing with NABBA and PCA. I compete because I love bodybuilding. And for me, bodybuilding is about enjoyment, finding an environment that I thoroughly kind of enjoy being in, and all the shows I've ever competed with NABBA have been extremely friendly. Anyone who's competed there knows there's a real family kind of atmosphere. There's so much kind of respect and history in that federation. PCA being much newer, they've really taken the helm in terms of putting the athletes first. By no means is this like a promo for either event. This is just my personal experience and opinion. And I just absolutely love competing there. My issue with the IFBB is, from where I stand, it seemed quite controlling. I can compete at the moment as a NABBA and a PCA pro. I can do guest spots for any federation I want. I can attend any shows that I want as a spectator or a competitor. And from what I understand, once the IFBB route is taken, you're slightly restricted. So I don't really want to do that because I like bodybuilding, I love bodybuilding, and I've got a lot of clients who compete all over, and I want to be able to be a part of that. So for now, that's very much where I stand on things. As for the ultimate goal in bodybuilding, I genuinely don't have one. When I won the Mr. Universe, people were like, "Oh, that must have been a long-term goal." It wasn't. It was something that was on my radar, but I never, like I said, I never dwelled on it too much because I just wanted to be my best. And if you're going to be the best on stage, you're going to win. So yeah, that is my thoughts on my future. My future is getting better, being more, and continuing to love the whole process that is bodybuilding. So the next four questions are kind of about getting into bodybuilding, advice for people starting out. And again, it's all going to kind of come back to just living each day the best bodybuilder, irrespective if you've competed or not, if that's a goal that you have as possible. Get your nutrition locked in, get your training hard, and well executed. Manage recovery, manage stress, hydration, all these things will combine. Best advice to someone wanting to compete that Dan asks is very much get your shit in order. Prep is not easy. It's going to take a toll on your energy, your relationships, your work, depending on what that may be. And at the end of the day, bodybuilding is the most extreme sport there is in terms of lifestyle. So you have to be willing to put that ahead of everything else. As selfish as it sounds, and if that's something that puts you off, then that's your answer. Bodybuilding isn't for you. Changing your physique, improving your physique, by all means, but to really take it to that competitive level, you don't want to go through a prep and stand on stage and think, I didn't give it my all. So get everything in order, commit and follow it through. Obviously as a first timer, definitely get a coach, get someone with experience, get someone that you trust and you respect, and again, let them be the voice that you follow, and just them, because so many people listen to this and that, the best bits of everything else, they come up with some shit show of an idea of what they should be doing, and funnily enough, they look like shit on stage. So yeah, that would be kind of advice for those starting out. Again, my kind of experience and kind of history was coming from swimming, as Jack asked, and I always wanted to be a bigger guy, and I always wanted to do more weights, but it kind of conflicted with my training as a swimmer. So once I finished swimming, I just threw all my efforts into that. I didn't make a particular effort with any sort of training. I just got in the gym, learned, enjoyed, and built from there. And then finally, A.D. Saunders asks, in my first attempt at bodybuilding, what mistakes can I avoid? So aside from kind of the things that I've covered already, as an athlete and a coach, mistakes aren't there to be feared. You learn from mistakes. I've learned from mistakes. That's probably the best educator there is. I've prepped myself now since 2012, and I have learnt, I have made mistakes, and I have learnt. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't let anything hold you back. And all mistakes are an opportunity to learn, to get better, and fool on you if you make them again. But for a first time, a mistake's a mistake. You can't avoid them. Again, it's not bodybuilding. That's life. Okay, so two questions about inspiration and drive. One from Vinny, what in particular drives me, what inspires me to do what I do. One from Bella, what's kept me going when things have got hard. And these are going to be kind of quite frustrating answers, maybe, because I honestly can't express the passion I have for bodybuilding and the desire that I have to improve and to be better. So as a process, I find it exceptionally easy. Maybe I'm not always, super motivated and upbeat, but never have I questioned why I'm doing it. Like I said many times, like my focus is to be better. The only way you're going to be better is by performing and by following and executing, the basic things well. So in terms of drive, be the best Josh I can be. In terms of inspiration, I initially got into this because I was extremely skinny. I wanted confidence, and bodybuilding has given me that and so much more. When things get hard, I often find that brings out the best in me, because it forces me to focus and take control even more over what I have and what I can. And that's why bodybuilding for me is the best life pursuit, because we have so many things that we can't control in life, but one thing that we can control is what goes into our mouth and what we do with our body. Obviously excluding kind of serious illness and injury and things like that, but injury within the gym environment can be avoided, and for the most part 99% of us have full control of how we look. Whether we choose to accept that kind of thought process or not is the truth. A lot of people will come up with excuses, and they don't even know they're doing it. But yeah, I've gone off on a little bit of a windy rant there. But simple, inspiration and drive. Love what you do, doesn't have to be bodybuilding, and I don't think you're ever going to struggle with either of those things. Okay, so I said I didn't get many YouTube questions, and I wasn't lying. I just got these two from Big W 1979, but sure as hell I'm going to answer them. So, how high were your carbs at the beginning of prep, and what was your starting weight? My carbs, I've just checked because I keep everything on my laptop recorded. My carbs at the start of prep were 560 grams. That was 19 weeks ago from right now. And leading into my final show, they were down at 220. Then my starting weight was 320 pounds. On stage at the Universe just pretty much 2 weeks ago, I was 285 pounds a day or so before, because I didn't have scales with me. So yeah, that gives you an indication to things there. Second question, how do I check progress when I'm on prep, mirror or scale? I use progress photos very reluctantly at the start of prep because I hate them. I hate the way I look very much all the way through until maybe 4 weeks out if I'm lucky. However, I take them because they're the most realistic comparison. Weight I do track, but I've never had an emotional attachment to weight. It's never bothered me, it's never stressed me out. If I know that I'm following my plans and I know my plans are progressive and moving in the right direction, then the weight will, or the body fat more importantly, will come off. And if that's reflected in the pictures, which it will be if you're following the plans, then, you know, go for it. With regards to yourself, obviously saying that you, it messes with your brain. If the scales don't go down, my advice to you would be don't look at the scales, just go by the mirror, make sure that you're working hard, getting your cardio done, getting your nutrition on point, training like an absolute animal. And like I've said a million times, doing the basics very, very well, and the results will follow. Right, quick fire round to finish things off, so I'm going to rattle through these questions really quick. Big Ryan asked what's my least favourite body part and my favourite body part from an aesthetics point of view. Absolutely hate my arms. Obviously, I got trolled on YouTube recently for having dreadful arms. And what can I say? It's true. They are not my favourite. I'm working on them constantly. They are getting better. What more can you do? Favourite body part? I won't lie, I've really been happy with the way my delts have shaped up this year. But you know, from a kind of historical point of view, my quads tend to get a lot of attention, and I'm very proud of kind of what I've built there. So Dave asks how to keep food interesting. Shortest question ever for me. I am a very satisfied person to eat bland food because for me food is very much the means to an end. So I will happily eat bland food. Food for me as well, the quicker I can prep it, the easier I can prep it in bulk, the better. So I don't struggle with getting bored because my goals are far more important than my taste buds, basically. So Dean asks the key to filling out on prep when you're tall, long limbs. Get big off season, put on decent tissue. You know, I was nowhere near what you would call a filled out bodybuilder when I first stepped on stage. I'm getting there now, I still feel there's more to come. You know, if you're, at the end of the day, being on the bodybuilding stage, condition is a huge part of that. If you're overly focused and fantasizing on some full, enormous frame, you're probably going to sacrifice that. So get in condition, have a play around with food, preferably before you carb up, have refeed days, see how you respond. But ultimately, you know, how big and how full you're going to look is how much muscle you've managed to build over the off season, over the years. So make that your primary focus. Don't just go into a competition season and think that's it. You know, it's a whole year. It's every year, in and out, progressing, building, and then the long limbs will suddenly look a lot fuller because there's tissue hanging off of them.